Now, looking at this NASDAQ chart, do you even still remember the tariff talk looming overhead? The potential of a trade war that had everyone on edge. Now, something fascinating is happening on our beloved NASDAQ. It is not just shrugging off, it is roaring. It has a really powerful display of resilience today in the market, and I want to break down why and how we are capitalizing on it, because for weeks the threat of escalating tariffs has cast a dark shadow over the stock market. But lately, not just me, but we have all seen this shift in the narrative, right? Perhaps that is something that the market is telling us, that the concerns are fading away, or maybe a potential impact is not as severe as we had initially feared. But whatever the reason, the fear factor that was surrounding these tariffs seems to be going down, and it's paving, way for renewed optimism in the market. As you can see, NASDAQ is looking absolutely lovely. And speaking of catalysts, right, we had the Fed before the week closed last week, and we also had the President of the United States speaking. And whatever the specifics of that fundamental news, the market clearly reacted positively to this news and is adding further fuel, to the bullish fire that we are already seeing onto the market. Now, let's talk about the NASDAQ. But if you're new, find the channel for the first time, welcome. We trade the NASDAQ over here. If you're returning, welcome back here. You know what's up. Don't forget to hit that like button, turn your post notifications, and subscribe to the channel. Now, let us go on to these charts. Now, you already know that on Monday, the market surprises, a really pleasant surprise with a gap. We had an open gap, and the good thing about this is we were already in a trade. We decided to hold one of our Friday trades over the weekend in the inner circle, right? And the gap opened in our favor, giving us this amount of profit that you're seeing right over here. Now, the thing that happened next, right after the gap, is what is truly remarkable, right? So instead of immediately closing the gap, normally the market is supposed to close the gap on a Monday. If it does not, there's a high chance that it's not going to close that gap for the particular week. It will probably close it on Friday, the market just does whatever it wants. But normally, after I have seen the market opening with gaps for quite some time, I noticed that if it does not close it on a Monday, there's a high chance that it will close it a bit later. So, which is why I did not take a trade on a Monday, because I was expecting the NASDAQ to go down and close the gap. And instead of immediately trying to close the gap, the NASDAQ just took off, right? It gapped up and just kept pushing high. So after that drop, this was not a hesitant recovery. This was just a pure display of bullish momentum that they are stepping, and they are really eager to keep pushing this market to the upside. And you know that we are not ever going to miss out on this kind of momentum. So this was our very first trade of the week, like a brand new trade after the one we had decided to close from Friday, and we executed this on a Tuesday, riding that wave of positive sentiment on the NASDAQ. You can see we had really incredible strength, and I'm about to break it down right now. The strategy that you might be using might be the same, right? But then the market conditions are ever so different, and you are supposed to be able to adapt. So after I have analyzed this and saw that the market has a gap, it hasn't closed it, and there's a chance that we want to close it, right? And we're on an uptrend. What am I going to do? I decided to play focusing on the 5-minute chart, right? So a lot of people might have been hesitant after that Monday gap. I was looking for confirmation. I was looking for strength. I wanted to see, what the market is doing and what the buyers are saying. As soon as I saw it, right, I jumped right in and secured partial profits really quickly, as you can see right now in the inner circle. Now, the question is, why did I take these partial profits? Because the gap down there is still at the back of my mind. Like I'm saying, the market has this funny habit of wanting to always go back to close these gaps. So you don't really want to keep holding a trade for a long time when you do have a gap that is almost close to the market price. So we need to always take a step back and look at the bigger picture right now. So on the 4-hour time frame, the gap even becomes more apparent, and notice where the market found itself after that initial push that it had, right at a key resistance level. Now, this is where things get really interesting, because did the market stall at the resistance? And I mean, for a moment, maybe it did. I actually thought that the sellers were about to step in at this level, and then we saw a clear breakout. This was a significant signal suggesting that the buying pressure was strong enough to overcome that previous selling interest that it had at this level, right? Because the market clearly broke out of a really strong resistance level on a larger time frame, showing that the buyers are really in control. Now the only thing that was now stopping me from entering the trade was to have a good stop loss, which I actually found at this level, right? So risk management in these crucial times where anything is happening is very important, very paramount. Right now I put my stop loss right around this level, because if we broke below that level, right, that would suggest a strong indication that the bears were regaining control, and we might indeed be heading down to close that gap. Now if this happens even after this video, if I'm still looking at that level, right? So if the market comes back to this level and breaks out of it, then we're heading to close the gap, because after that nothing is really holding the market. Then in this case the breakout held, which was very encouraging, and to further solidify the bullish outlook, we jumped onto the 1 hour chart, and you can clearly see that initial push is a bit clearer here. We even had a little bit of a minor pullback and then a continuation. So after I saw these things, I kept holding the trade, so we got to like at least 100 pips. That was like a good $500 in total for the trade. And then back to the shorter time frame where we actually took the trade. This was the simple setup. You can clearly see that the market was forming a little resistance at this 5-minute time frame, and at this level it had a little bit of a consolidation right at the resistance that it was forming, right? And then we saw that the market broke out of it, and then we wanted to jump right into the trade, which we did, and then rode the market right up to the top. And you see it's forming a little bit of a trend line now. That is how we actually took that trade, but right now it's forming a little bit of a trend line. And if there is momentum, the buyers keep eager to keep pushing the market to the upside, then we're also going to keep looking at the market to see really good trades. Now that is exactly what I just did on the NASDAQ to capitalize on this easy trade. Now if we take a look at US30, just interesting enough, there's also a gap on US30 on the 4-hour time frame, but the story is a little bit different on US30. Now if you notice, it has a little trend line, but it's kind of descending, right? It's forming a little downtrend on the 4-hour time frame. So yes, they are showing signs of strength, both the NASDAQ and US30, but US30 is still navigating some potential resistance, right? It's still at a zone that the market might just want to drop out of it. So I'll always look out for the key level. So on US30 I'm looking at this key level, which is going to be now a support zone, right? And that descending trend line. So here we're going to see a really interesting battle between the bulls and the bears. It's going to really likely to play out at the zone. And now will the sellers defend that trend line and push the market down and close the gap, or the overall bullish momentum will eventually break through on US30 and keep pushing it up? But then given the overall longer term bullish bias that I see in the broader market perspective, right, I am personally not looking to sell US30 against the trend, which is the overall trend. Instead, I'll patiently wait for the market to reject off of this trend line and then go back down to close the gap. And if it does, then I would be looking to buy it from that level, right? That would be a more compelling entry for me to ride the movement upwards. So that's about it. That's what I'm looking at on NASDAQ and US30 for now. We did capitalize on NASDAQ. It's just a Tuesday and we already have really beautiful trades for the week. We're looking forward to another lovely week, just like we had last week with 3 beautiful winning trades. Let's see how many we actually have right now. So that's it. That's a look in my trading week so far, my analysis, what is happening on NASDAQ US30. We are witnessing a fascinating shift in the market momentum, and the fear that we just had a few weeks ago is being replaced by a cautious, optimistic move that we're having. And I am starting to see really great potential moves on, that are starting to emerge here, that are starting to come up. And that is actually a really nice reminder that in this world of trading, you have to be adaptable. You have to be, quick to think, reacting to what the current market condition is saying. You should be able to read the story of the market, the story that the market is telling. That is absolutely essential. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and how your trading week is going so far. But if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button, turn your post notifications, and subscribe to the channel. You feel me with that? It's been Tino, and I'll see you in the next lit video. Love you guys.